Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is 𝐷𝐿𝐿, and in today's video I'll explain you how to automate building and pushing Docker images to AWS ECR, which is Elastic Container Registry, and finally we are going to deploy it by running a Docker container on EC2 instance using Jenkins. Okay, so this entire process we are going to automate it by using Jenkins. So here you can see this is the process right now we are going to follow. So initially, first we are going to create an EC2 instance with instance type of T2 medium and with 15 GB of storage. And after that, we are going to SSH into this EC2 instance, and there we are going to install Jenkins, Docker, and AWS CLI. Okay, so these are the scripts to install Jenkins, Docker, and AWS CLI. And after that, we are going to create a sample pipeline. Okay, so this pipeline first it will take the source code from the GitHub repository. So I stored this entire source code on this GitHub repository. Basically it is a Flask application, guys. Okay, so let me open this app.py file, and here you can see it will display a sample message like hello everyone from Flask app AWS. Okay, so let me open this Docker file. So here you can see this is the Docker file. So first it will take the base image as Python, and after that we are going to set working directory as /app, and we are going to copy this requirements.txt file and app.py file, app.py file to this, and after that we are going to install requirement.txt dependencies, and after that we are going to expose port on 5000, and we are going to run Flask app. Okay, so this is the Docker file. So let me open this. Okay, so in the second stage, it will authenticate with our AWS ECR, which is Elastic Container Registry, using AWS IAM access key and secret key. Okay, so you need to create an AWS IAM access key and secret key, and you need to provide that IAM access key and secret key on Jenkins credentials. Okay, and from Jenkins credentials, you need to pass that name from here, guys. Okay, so using these credentials only, it will authenticate with AWS ECR. Okay, and after that, so this is the very main stage. So in this stage it will build Docker image, it will tag the Docker image, and it will push the Docker image to AWS ECR. Okay, so here you can see always Jenkins will tag this Docker image with the latest build number, with Jenkins latest build number. Okay, so for example, if Jenkins build number is 3, it will tag with this Docker image will tag with 1.0.3. Okay, this is how it works. And after that, this is the ECR URL. So here we need to provide our account ID from this environmental variables. It will take here we need to provide our AWS account ID, and here we need to provide region. So in which region you are performing this, here we need to provide that, and here we need to provide ECR repository. You need to manually create an ECR repository, and you need to provide that name here. Okay, so now let's come down. Here you can see in the first stage it will build the Docker image, and here in the second it will tag the Docker image. Okay, so here you can see Docker tag, and this is the image name, and it will tag with ECR URL. That means here you can see this is the URL. Okay, here it comes account ID dkr.ecr.aws default region. It will take as US East 1. So here I am provided US East 1, right? So here you can see US East 1. So here it will take US East 1 and .aws.com, and here it will take Flask app, which is ECR repository name. So I haven't created any of the repository, I will create it future. Okay, so after that it will tag the latest Docker image as well, and in the final steps it will push tagged Docker image and as well as latest Docker image to ECR. And in the final in this stage, first it will check whether Flask app container is running or not. So if the container is running, it will stop the Docker container, and it will remove the Docker container, and it will sleep for 10 seconds, and in the final stage it will run with the latest Docker image. Okay, so container will be created with the latest Docker image. So this is the command docker run -d -name. This is the container name -p, and I'm going to run localhost as port 5000, and my container is run exposing on port 5000. Here you can see 5000 now, and this is our ECR repository URL. That means account id.dkr.ecr. And this is the default region. It will take from environmental variables and aws.com/, and here we need to provide ECR repository name. Okay, from this environmental variables it is taking this repository name, and at last it will run the Docker container with the latest Docker image, guys. Okay, so this is how it works, and in the final stage it will prune all the unwanted Docker images, and it will prune all the unwanted Docker volumes. Okay, so this is the pipeline we are going to follow. So let's implement this everything from scratch. So let me come here. Okay, so here you can see this is my AWS management console. So here let me open this VPC. So previously I created a VPC. So let me open this your VPCs. So previously I created a test VPC. Inside this VPC I created two subnets and one route table and internet gateway. Okay. So I'm going to use this VPC to create EC2 instance. Let me open this EC2 in a new tab and directly select your instances. And here you can see currently we don't have even single EC2 instance up and running. So let's create a new EC2 instance. So directly select here launch instance and let me provide name like Jenkins-ECR. Okay. And here OS I'm going to select as Ubuntu, and after I'm going with instance type I'm going with T2 medium. Okay. So let me select this T2 medium and key pair. Let me create a new key pair. Let me create Jenkins-key pair. So I'm going to provide this name and I'm going with .pem and directly select here create key pair. Or else you can directly select from this cloud shell itself. Okay, no problem. And now here you need to provide networking settings. So directly select edit. So previously I created a test VPC right here. So I'm going to use this test VPC and I'm going to select test subnet one, and here you need to enable this. Okay, so by default it will be in the disabled state. You need to enable this. Okay, if you enable this, public IP will be allocated for this EC2 instances. Now when it comes to security group, let me check this. I have only the default security group, so let me create a new security group and test SG. Let me provide this name and here also test SG, test security group, and I'm going to provide only SSH access. Okay, and now here I'm going to provide 12 GB of storage. It is enough, and I'm going to create only single EC2 instance. Okay, so directly select your launch instance and directly refresh this. So here you can see our instance is in up and running. So now let's connect to this instance. Copy this public IP address, open MoboXTEM, and here session SSH, and here you need to provide public IP and username as Ubuntu. Currently we have created Ubuntu OS, right? So here you need to select username as Ubuntu and advanced SSH settings. So directly check mark this, and here you need to provide path of your private key. Okay, so directly select this, open, and okay. Now here you can see it will connect to our EC2 instance. So here you can see successfully it is connected with our EC2 instance. So now let's clear this screen and let's update this by hitting sudo apt update -y. So it will update this EC2 instance. And after updating this EC2 instance, let's install AWS CLI, and after that let's install Jenkins, and after that let's install Docker. Okay. So meanwhile, let me copy this script to install AWS CLI. Let me come here. Still it is updating, so let's wait. So here you can see it is updated successfully. So now let me clear the screen and let me hit sudo su. Now I'm in super user. Now I'm going to install AWS CLI. Let me paste it this and okay. Okay, it failed to install unzip package. Okay, let me install this apt install unzip -y. So it will install unzip package. Now let me paste that entire script. Sorry. Let me open this and let me copy this once again. Let me come here and let me paste it here. Okay. So now AWS CLI will be installed in this EC2 instance. So meanwhile, what we need to do is we need to create AWS IAM access key and secret key. Okay. So now let me provide AWS hyphen version. Let me check this version. And here you can see AWS CLI version 2.27.24. Okay. So now AWS configure. And you need to create AWS IAM access key and secret key, and you need to provide the keys here. So let me directly open here IAM, and here select users, and let me open this Vijay user and security credentials. and here let me delete my old access key and secret key, deactivate, copy this and paste it here and delete. Okay, so now I'm going to create new access key and secret key. Here you need to select CLI and confirm this and directly select next and create access key. So here you can see this is access key and this is the secret access key. Copy access key, come here, paste it here, hit enter, and now copy secret access key and paste it here. Now here I'm going to perform this everything on this region which is US East 1. Okay, so here we need to select as US-East-1. Okay, now let me check this by hitting AWS S3 ls. Okay, so here you can see it is listing all these buckets. Let me clear the screen. Now let me install Docker apt install docker.io-y. Okay, so it will install Docker. Sorry, here you need to give -y. It will install Docker in this EC2 instance. Now let me start this Docker systemctl start Docker, and let me enable this systemctl enable Docker, and let me check the status of this Docker by hitting systemctl status Docker. So here you can see our Docker is in active and running and it is in enabled state. Okay, so now let me exit from this. Now let me install Jenkins on this EC2 instance. Meanwhile, let me hit Docker version. So here you can see Docker hyphen version, and here you can see 26.1.3. So now let me create a file with name vi-jenkins.sh and keep this in insert mode. And now I'll come here and I'll copy this entire script. Okay, so let me come here and let me paste it here and let me save this and ll. So currently here you can see for this file we have only read and write permission. So let me provide full permissions for this file, which is chmod 777 jenkins.sh and ll. So here you can see now for this file we have full permissions and sh jenkins.sh. So now Jenkins will be installed on this EC2 instance. So let's wait for some time. So now here you can see Jenkins is active and running. So now let's try to access Jenkins UI. So copy this public IP address of your EC2 instance, open a new tab, and here you need to provide http:// and public IP with port 8080. Okay, so by default Jenkins will run under the port of 8080. Okay, so hit enter. So mostly it will not work, guys. Why? Because means we need to provide this 8080 port on security groups. Okay, so open this EC2 instance, directly jump onto security and open this security group and directly select edit inbound rules, and here select add rule, and here custom TCP, and which is port 8080. Okay, and here you need to provide anywhere from IPv4 save rules. And now let's come here and let's refresh this. Okay, so here you can see automatically it is redirecting to Jenkins login page. So here we need to provide Jenkins password. So you can directly copy this path. So in this path you can find Jenkins password. Okay, so come here, clear the screen and cut and paste that path here. Inside varlib Jenkins secrets and initial admin password, you can find Jenkins password. Okay, so you can directly copy this and you can directly come here and you can directly paste it here and continue. So now it will sign into Jenkins, select never, and here initially you need to install some of the plugins. So directly select here install suggested plugins. So now Jenkins will install some of the plugins. So let's wait. So here you can see all the plugins installation has been completed. So now username I'm going to provide as Vijay. Will copy this. Password Vijay. Confirm password Vijay. Full name Vijay and vijay@gmail.com. Okay. So now directly select here save and continue and close. So here you can see on this IP address and on this port this Jenkins is configured. Okay. So directly select here save and finish. And here you can see Jenkins is ready. Directly select start using Jenkins. So here you can see this is the Jenkins UI. So let me open this. So up to now we installed AWS CLI, Docker and Jenkins, right? So now we need to install some of the plugins like AWS credentials plugin, pipeline stage view and Docker. Okay. So now let's come here and open this settings. That means manage Jenkins, and here directly jump on to plugins and select available plugins, and here search for AWS credentials. Okay, so here you can see we need to install this plugin, and now here pipeline stage view. Okay, pipeline stage view. So this plugin is used to display the pipeline, guys. Okay, so now Docker, and here I'm going to install Docker Commerce, Docker Pipeline, Docker API and Docker build step, and directly select here install. So now it will install all these plugins. That means only 3 plugins, guys. Okay, and after that let's restart this Jenkins. Directly select here restart. So now Jenkins will restart once again. So meanwhile, let's create an ECR repository with name Flask app. Okay, so you need to create a repository with any of the name, not only with Flask app. You can create any of the name, but that name you need to provide in Jenkins pipeline, guys. Okay, so in environmental variables you need to pass that name. So let me open this, and let me open this ECR. Search for ECR Elastic Container Registry. Open this, and this Elastic Container Registry is used to store our Docker images, guys. Okay, so similarly in Google Cloud we have artifact registry, and similarly we have Docker Hub. Okay, so already I have with name Flask app, so let me delete this. Okay, so right now I don't have. Now I'm going to create a new repository with name Flask app. So directly select create repository, and here repository name I'm going to provide as Flask app, and directly come down and directly select here create. So here you can see a repository has been created. So let me open this repository. So here you can see inside this repository we don't have even single Docker image. Okay, so now let me come out from this repositories. Okay, this is the repository. Now let me come here, and username as Vijay and password also Vijay. Directly select sign in. So now we successfully connected to our Jenkins once again. So now directly select here Jenkins, and directly select here manage Jenkins. Okay, now directly select your credentials. Okay, so now inside this credentials you need to provide your AWS IAM access key and secret key. Okay, so directly select your global, add credentials, and here you need to select AWS credentials. Okay, so previously we installed AWS credentials plugin, right? So this is the plugin. Now ID, I'm going to provide this name, which is AWS credentials plugin. Same this name I'm going to provide. So let me come here, and ID I'm going to paste it here. So in this case you are providing some other ID, means you need to provide that name in your Jenkins pipeline. Okay, so now let me come here and copy this access key and come to Jenkins credentials and paste it here. So this is the access key, and come here and copy the secret access key and paste it here. So this is the secret access key, and directly select here create. Okay, so now let's come here. So here you can see up to now we provided Jenkins credentials, right? So now let's create a Jenkins pipeline. So directly I'm going to use this pipeline without wasting any time, and let me select here Jenkins and add item, and here let me provide Jenkins -ECR pipeline. Okay, so this will be better, and I'm going to select here pipeline and okay. And here we need to paste our pipeline. So here you can see, once again I am telling you, so whenever we write any of the Jenkins declarative pipeline, always pipeline starts with pipeline and agent any. So these are the environmental variables. So currently we are going to create this. That means we are going to push our Docker images to AWS ECR, right? So that repository in US East 1. So here you can see you need to provide that region US East 1. Okay. So now come here, and here you need to provide your account ID. So directly open your AWS account and directly select this, and from here you need to copy your account ID. Okay, and you need to paste that account ID here. Okay, and after that you need to create an ECR repository, and you need to provide that repository name similarly like this. Here you can see we created a ECR repository with name FlashCap, right? So you need to provide this name is here. Okay, so these are the environmental variables. So in the first stage it will clean the current workspace, guys. Okay, in the second stage it will take the source code from the GitHub repository. So this is my GitHub repository URL. Okay, so here you can see this is my repository I'm using. So from here you need to copy this repository URL and you need to paste it here, and you need to provide here branch name. Okay, and in the third stage it will authenticate with our AWS account and ECR. So using AWS IAM access key and secret key, it will authenticate with AWS ECR, guys. Okay, and this is the main stage. So as I explained earlierly, so always after building Docker image, this image will be tagged with the Jenkins latest build number. Okay, so for example, if Jenkins build number is 3, it will tag with 1.0.3. Okay, so here you can see this is the ECR repository URL, AWS account ID. So here you can see this is the ECR URL. So this is the account ID dkr.ecr.us east 1. This is the region, and amazon.com/flashcap. Okay, so here you can see you can find that same account ID .dkr.ecr. AWS, it will take the default region as US. Here you can see US East 1. So in this pipeline it will take from environmental variables. So if you observe this, here you can see it is taking US East 1. So that's why here you need to pass that region, and after that here at last it will take the repository like easier repository name like Flask app. Okay, so now first it will build the Docker image with name flashcap colon latest, and after that it will tag the Docker image with the latest image tag. Okay, so for example, if Jenkins build number is 2, it will tag with 1.0.2, and after that it will tag the latest Docker image, and after that it will push the latest Docker image as well as the tagged Docker image. Okay, and it will sleep for 10 seconds, and after that it will clean the existing Docker container. Okay, so if Docker container is running with the name flashcap, it will stop and it will remove the Docker container, and again it will sleep for 10 seconds, and in the final stage it will run the Docker container with the latest image. Okay, always it will build with the always Docker container will be recreated with the latest Docker image, guys. Okay, and in the final stage it will remove unwanted Docker images and it will remove unwanted Docker volumes. Okay, so now let's test this. Directly select here apply and directly select here save. So now directly select here build now. Okay, so here you can see it is started building. So let me open this in a new tab. Output, our pipeline got failed. Let me check the issue. Okay, so here you can see in the first stage it successfully taken the source code from the GitHub repository, and in the second stage it successfully authenticated with our AWS account, and in the third stage while building Docker image it got failed and it is telling permission denied. And okay, we need to provide permissions to var run docker.show. Okay, so let's do this. chmod 777/var run docker.show. So now let's try to run this pipeline once again. Let me cancel this and directly select here build now. Now let me open this in a new tab. Let me select here out. So here you can see currently now it is building Docker image, and here you can see it successfully tagged Docker image. So here you can see it is tagging two Docker images. One is with ECR URL with 1.0.2. So here you can see currently our Jenkins build number is 2, right? So here you can see, so that's why it is tagged with 1.0.2, as I said, okay. And also it is tagged our latest Docker image, and it is successfully pushed our Docker image to AWS ECR. So here you can see this is the image it is pushed, and this is the image it is pushed. Okay? So now let's come down, and here you can see currently it doesn't find any of the Docker container with name Flask container. So that's why it got skipped, and in the final stage it successfully run the Docker container with the latest Docker image, guys. Okay, so now let's come here and let me hit Docker images. So here we need to see Docker image. So here you can see 1.0.2 and latest Docker image last 51 seconds ago. So now when I hit here Docker PS, so here you can see our container is running from last 39 seconds, and container name is Flask app container. Okay, so it is listening on port 5000. So now let's access this application. So initially we need to provide this port 5000 on security groups. So open this security groups and select here edit inbound rule, and here add rule, and here you need to select custom TCP, and port is running on 5000. Okay, and anywhere from IPv4 and save rules. So now select instances and select details and copy this public IP, and you need to access with port 5000 because our Flask application is running on port 5000, right? 5000. So localhost also we have given port 5000. So here you can see hello everyone from Flask app AWS. So successfully it got deployed. So let me close this and let me open this. So here you can see our pipeline is green. So now let me check ECR repository. So here directly open this Flask app. So here you can see 1.0.2 and latest Docker image. Okay, so this is how it will push. So now if I rerun this Jenkins pipeline, again it will build the Docker image, and it will tag the Docker image with the latest tag. That means currently build number is 3, right? It will tag with 1.0.3, and it will push the Docker image to ECR, and container also will be recreated once again. So here you can see it got tagged with let me show you that. Here you can see 1.0.3. Okay, and it also tagged our latest image. So here you can see currently it is stopping existing Docker container, which is Flask app container. Okay, so here you can see it also removed the Docker container, and it is sleeping for 10 seconds. Okay, and in final stage it will recreate Docker container will be recreated with the latest image. Okay, which is latest. So now again if I hit Docker PS, here you can see last 8 seconds ago it is recreated. Now when I hit Docker images, here you can see another image 1.0.3. Okay, so this is how it works. So now again you will see the same output here. So here you can see, because in this GitHub repository, let me open this app.py, and in this GitHub repository we are going to provide hello everyone from Flask app AWS. So now I'm going to edit this, which is like hello everyone from Flask app AWS ECR, or else. Okay, let me provide any of the name. Okay, so I just change it to AWS ECR and commit changes. Okay, so now here you can see currently it is showing this output, right? Hello everyone from Flask app AWS, but we also added AWS ECR, right? So now here you can see I'm going to refresh this. It is not changing. Now I will run this Jenkins pipeline. Just see this automation, guys. Okay, build now. Now again new image will be recreated with the latest changes. Okay, sorry, no, let me open this in a new tab, console output, and here you can see image got recreated. So here you can see image has been built, and image has been tagged with the latest Jenkins build number, which is 1.0.4. That means it tagged with the 1.0.4 build number, and it also tagged the latest tag, and it got pushed. And here you can see currently it is stopping existing Docker container, which is Flask app container, and in the final stage it will be recreated with the latest Docker image. Okay, so here you can see again image has been recreated. So now again when I hit here Docker images, here you can see 1.0.4. Now Docker PS, here you can see from last 15 seconds our container is running. That means it is recreated with the latest changes. Now let me come here and let me refresh this. So here you can see hello everyone from Flask app AWS ECR. Okay, so this is how it works. So let me open this ECR and let me refresh this. So here you can see 1.0.4 comma latest. Okay, so these two are the images. Okay, so this is how it works, guys. So this is how you can automate building and pushing Docker images to AWS ECR. Okay, so now here you can see, once again I'm going to run this pipeline. It will start from scratch once again. So here you can see currently it is authenticated with our AWS ECR using AWS IAM access key and secret key. And here you can see in this stage it will build, tag and push Docker images to AWS ECR. So here you can see it got pushed, and here you can see it was pushed the latest Docker image and the tagged Docker image. And here you can see currently it is stopping existing Docker container, and it will recreate with the new container. Let's wait. Currently it is stopping. So here you can see it is recreated with the latest Docker container. Okay, so it will not change. Why? Because means we haven't modified that repository, right? So now finally let's do one thing. Let me open this. Now again I'm going to modify this. Now here I will provide happy learning. Okay, and I'm going to commit these changes. Commit changes. So now here you can see currently it is showing this message, right? Like, so now it will modify to, let me keep it here. It will display message like happy learning. Okay, so now here you can see again I'm going to build this pipeline, and here you can see sixth build has been started. And this is how you can automate this entire process, guys. Here you can see again image got recreated, and it is pushed to AWS ECR. And here you can see currently it is sleeping for 10 seconds. And here you can see cleaning existing container. So here you can see currently it is stopping existing Docker container, which is app container, and after that it will remove that Docker container. So here you can see it got removed, and again it is sleeping for 10 seconds. And after that in final stage it will be recreated with the latest Docker image, guys. Okay, so here you can see container has been recreated with the latest Docker image. Okay, so now let me come here, Docker images, and here you can see 1.0.6 Docker PS. And here you can see last 15 seconds ago it is running. Let me come here and let me refresh this. Here you can see happy learning. Okay, so this is how you can automate entire process. Let me refresh this, and here you can see 1.0.6 automatically it will build and tag, and it will push the Docker images to AWS ECR, guys. Okay, and finally we can see this Flask application up and running in our EC2 instances. Okay, so and yes, that's it for today's video. So now after completing your lab practice and everything, try to delete this EC2 instance, guys, because AWS will charge some of the EC2 instance because it is running on T2 medium, right? It will cost some of the amount. So after completing your labs, try to delete entire resources. So now let me close this. Let me come here and select this EC2 instance statement, terminate and terminate. Okay, so now this instance will be terminated. And I'm going, so if you want to remove this ECR repository, you can directly select this repository and directly select here delete. Okay, delete and delete. So now this repository will be deleted. Okay, so I will provide this entire scripts in a readme file, and I will attach that scripts in this video description, guys. Okay, so and yes, that's it for today's video. And if you like my video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys, and see you in the next video, and bye.